Yeah, can you go to the first slide? Yeah, there are some slides about this. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. I'll just tell you to move to the next slide and I'm finished through. Yeah. So good morning, everybody. I'm so glad to be here participating in your seminars on electric vehicles. And to start with, I just tell you that I'm sorry, we're not far from VJTI. We are in a suburb called Powai, and which has a lake, Powai Lake, which is very famous. Everybody must have. I know that you are all from, you have logged in from different parts of the country, right? Am I right? Yeah?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And now also after IIT, I'm also in the neighborhood only. So this is still having the view of the lake. So can we move to the next stage? Next slide. Yeah, this is where I've spent much of my working life. As you have seen, it is IDC IIT Bombay, which offers offer 2-year program in Master of Design, and various subjects that we had there is industrial design, visual communication, interaction design, animation design, and lately from 2007 onwards, we started a program on mobility and vehicle design. The program is meant to develop knowledge, skill, and aptitude to creative problem solvers and bring about innovation in the manufacturing communication. That was the kind of a mandate. Can we go to the next slide? So these are some of the projects that students would take up, and most of these projects were emphasis on social relevance. As you can see, this is a solar cooker, this is a micro battery chargers from SolarMat. This is some work on rickshaws, and this is work on sanitation products, and so on. Next. Also, when I talked about, I thought we started a new program which is mobile, which is more relevant to what I'm talking today, is mobility and vehicle design. And you can see as the mission that we don't have only the cars here, we have more of things like tractors, auto rickshaws, houseboats, more earth moving equipment, and also scooters. They may not be all related to electric mobility because program was for mobility and vehicle design. The mission was to term mobility and vehicle design includes all modes of transport, which may include human, that is bicycle, goods, wheel, non-wheel, motorized, electric powered, human powered, mass transport, individual transport, and associated systems. Research program for all issues regarding the above to develop unique solutions suitable for our economy and ecology. That's very important. Suitable for our economy and ecology. Now, I'm also associated now with a company which is called CTech Labs Private Limited, which is also an innovation development company and offers innovation solutions to various companies. Presently, we have on board a company like Tata Steel in their new products, what you call the new products and business, and also a company which is in automotive sector for lighting for Lumex Industries Private Limited. We are closely associated with them and doing a lot of work for them. So CTech is a company which offers strategic development of innovations within the organizations, and which includes putting the methodologies in place, mentoring of the people in R&D, and monitoring the progress of the projects, and even motivating the people to be more creative, to be more innovative. And these are some of the products that CTech has developed sometimes in association with IIT, sometimes directly with the companies. Next. So today's program, as you can see, is what I'm talking about will be sustainable electric mobility, policies and possibilities in India. So can you get some idea about what we are doing? Sustainable, we are talking about sustainable. Let's say what sustainable means. And there is some kind of a What does sustain mean? If you can see from here, it is to hold. Sustain means to hold. Sustain also means to keep going. Sustain also means to have a long life. And what will be sustainability really then? That means there should be less destruction, there should be less waste, and there should be reuse of the waste. That everybody is counting. People are talking about cyclic economy these days, which means almost the same thing. So what would be a sustainable product? Sustainable product will a product which has long shelf life, long useful life, which has afterlife, and which also has an afterlife. I hope you understand what I'm saying, because I'm not getting any feedback because of this remoteness. But still, if there are any questions, you can just unmute yourself and ask, no problem. Next, can we go to the next one? Okay, now policy incentives have been there largely in many countries of the world. And even in India, we have been talking about electric mobility from 2010, when electric mobility mission was started. And it had given a kind of a goals from 2020. And sometimes in the earlier times, we would say that all cars on all vehicles in India would be electric by 2020, and this has already passed. We have not done much about it. Now then afterwards we talked about 2025, then we talked about 2030, and I wonder whether even 2030 will be a kind of a goal, or the time when we achieve this kind of a goal. But nevertheless, things are happening in this direction. It may take a longer time than we earlier envisaged, but we say that what was the policy of the National Mission for Electric Mobility? That means objective of national energy security. That means we are not dependent on energy sources from outside. That means we'll be depending on a lot less on fossil fuels. And naturally, the direction in which we should go is electrical. Maybe in mobility, maybe in other things as well. But mobility is one of the biggest chunks, biggest segments where we use the fossil fuels like petrol, diesel, and all that. Our objectives to be a national objective to reduce this dependence on external fossil fuels. And growth of domestic manufacturing that we talked about, that is what is nowadays called about Make in India programs and things like that. Capabilities in full range of electric vehicle technologies. That is what was the mission. But what we did is so far is concentrate on cars. And we'll come to that in a while. Envisage the penetration, 2020, envisage the penetration of 700,000 electric and hybrid vehicles, including passenger cars, two-wheelers, trucks, three-wheelers by 2020. All this has not happened. We just talked about it, but there are a movement in this. There is a movement in this direction. I can see the latest figures of, say, for example, scooters, electric scooters in India during the last year. The sales have been just around 25 or 27,000, which is far below what we are talking about, 600,000 and 700,000. Cars are yet to be electric cars are yet to come out really on the roads, maybe one or two, and Tesla is talking about that will introduce, but it's still talk, So what was kept? 20,000 crores was kept for this development, and out of which 2,000 crores were kept for R&D. I'm not sure whether this money got anywhere or not, whether this money was spent or not. So policy initiatives included that time is FAME India, which means faster adoption and manufacturing of electric vehicles in India, and which included technology development, demand creation, pilot projects, charging infrastructure. Nothing has happened so far, except a couple of hundred or a couple of thousand vehicles like scooters have got subsidy, particularly the Hero motorcycles, which brought kits from China, sold in India, and got the subsidy, whatever subsidy was available through this program. Rest, nothing much significant has happened. So the outlay of 800 crores, I don't know whether it has really been spent or not, But as you can see, policy initiatives have been taken all around the world. Even President Obama at that time said American automobile had shown too little effort to reduce the nation's dependence on foreign oil and improve their vehicle efficiency. From 2016, 40% more increased fuel efficiency will be required. They are talking not of the electric vehicle, they are talking about the reduction of the dependency on the oil from abroad. So they pledged 2.4 billion in federal grants, which is huge. Of course, we are seeing some results. Can we go below, a little bit below? So you can see the rise of Elon Musk and Tesla phenomenon, probably because of the policy initiatives or whatever, but it has happened out there. Or what has happened what are changes in India or business initiatives happening? Tatas are making some inroads into it. And in fact, Ratan Tata said, decrease in size would accompany lowering the price of cars, which would eventually lead to increased availability of personal vehicles. He was talking about Nano, But what has happened is with the failure of Nano, the size of the cars has not decreased much, It hasn't decreased beyond really what has been a successful product from Maruti Suzuki was 800, Maruti 800. It has not gone beyond that, less than that size. Mahindra Reva is one vehicle, which was one of the early electric vehicles in India. It was a Reva India, which was a Bangalore-based company, but taken over by Mahindra afterwards. And they produced, these two versions of this. But it didn't see much success in the market. And one of the reasons probably many people attribute the failure of Nano to the marketing campaign of that being a cheap car. But in my view, I would say that it's not the cheap word that has been the cause of it, but it's been the bad design. It was a bad design, so people didn't accept it. It had the possibility of not getting maintained properly. It had a lot of flaws. If one would do an analysis, one would make out, what kind of design flaws would be there. Similarly, in Reva also, I would say that it's not being so successful is because the product was not planned around the Indian users, It was some kind of a hodgepodge kind of a design. But nevertheless, this was a good attempt. And Mahindra is spending a lot of money on this and the kind of vehicles that can come, I hope, can come out from their stables. There have been people who have been very optimistic about it. Will cars, next. Will electric car reign in Indian roads? Yes, there have been a lot of people. Yes, electric car. It's obvious that in future electric car is going to reign on Indian roads. But when, we are not so sure. Going by the experts, 5-fold growth in population. If there is so much of population growth and noise pollution and other kinds of pollution, the electric vehicle is a solution. But what kind of electric vehicle? Can we go to the next? Am I okay? My speed is okay? I'm too fast? You can stop me if you like.
No, sir, he is okay.
Yeah. So again, a push has been given, hard push in 2017 by the government of India. GST on EVs was reduced to 5%. And two, there was incentives given in the form of subsidy and all that. Personally, I'm against subsidies because it only leads to more corruption. But anyway, these subsidies were given, which many industries have taken advantage of, particularly the big industry. Small industry has not been able to take advantage of this properly. One of the big initiatives was by ESSL, which is a government body, which gave an order of 10,000 cars to Tata Motors and Mahindras and for electric vehicles. And it was a path-breaking move in 2017. But it seems that it completely fizzled out. We're not talking about it. Nobody knows what has happened to this, whether they were delivered or not delivered and what was the problem. By some rumors, kind of a thing, it was not accepted by the Babus in Delhi who these cars were given to. That's some story going around. But point is that these vehicles are not to be seen on the roads. 10,000 vehicles would have made some visual impact on the road, but it has not done that. And that means this whole program probably got scuttled. Next. But at the same time, there have been many announcements. Apart from this order, there have been many announcements by Tatas and Mahindras and even Maruti Suzuki. And they announced, and Hyundai, and they announced Hyundai Kona Electric and this one, and then Tata Nexa and Mahindra Verito, and so on and so forth. Next. Even Maharashtra had a state, announced a state policy in 2018, whereby it thought of creating an enabling environment for the manufacture of 500,000 EVs. Well, this is still a talk. 15% subsidy for the first 100,000 EVs registered in the state. Okay, so there's a big incentive, but how much advantage has been taken of this as yet is not very clear. Subsidy of 10 lakh per charging station. We don't see any charging stations in Mumbai or any other part of Maharashtra. Two-wheeler subsidy, 5,000, three-wheeler and all that kind of thing. There have been a lot of announcements, but nothing tangible is really on the roads as yet. Next. Now, of course, in 2021, there have been again a plethora of announcements. Tata Tigor and Tata Nexon. But what you can see here is Maruti Suzuki Wagon R electric hatchback launch delayed. Will not happen in 2020, maybe in next couple of years, but it has been postponed. Next. Okay. Now, I'll just take you back a little bit to the history of electric vehicles. And in fact, electric vehicles is not a new thing, really. Almost 200 years back, electric vehicle development has started. You can see here the first strike, 1832, the things people started talking about it. And Robert Davidson around 1842 developed the car. Later in 1838, can you go up a little bit? And in 1859, and you can see Anderson Electric Car Company started the production of electric automobile with company which was called Detroit Electric, powered by rechargeable lead-acid batteries, began in 1907. Okay. This was the more commercial kind of an establishment which started making electric cars. Then electric cars throughout the world, in England, in Germany, and other places also, people started making electric cars. And you can see one of the pictures which will say that built in 1884 by Thomas Parker, a British inventor. Okay, so it's an old concept. Electric cars is a very old concept, but it didn't flourish. And if you can see here again, there are a number of these. Detroit Electric Car in 1907, 1904 Columbia Electric, then Woods Electric, and Olds Electric Car, and German car of 1904 with a chauffeur on top, which was like more of a half designed in the form of a horse carriage at that time, but it was electric. Now you see, yes, despite having made great strides in technology in more than 100 years, now we have a lot of technology available with us. We are not like in the old days, but we see the problems. Electric vehicle suffers from the same problem even now. Can you see that? This is Detroit Electric Car charging. This is one of the more. So what is the challenges? What have been the challenges and which are still remaining as challenges is lack of infrastructure, limited range, heavy batteries, limited capacity, and it's expensive. Although all these challenges are being met gradually now, but they still are challenges which the electric car faced 200 years back or 150 years back. They are still there. And how much progress we have made in these directions. And it is only during the last, maybe say a decade, that some progress has been made to counter these challenges, but they are still there. We are still talking about lack of infrastructure, charging station. We are still talking about how much is the range of the car. Can it take us from here to Nasik, or can it take us from here to Pune and back? We're still talking about that. We're still talking about batteries, how to reduce the battery weight, so that the power in the car is kind of saved for running it, right? And we are still talking that it's still expensive. Okay, now let's go further and let's see what. Of course, we know that potential benefits far outweigh the limitations of electric vehicle. What are the great benefits? That were a significant reduction in air pollution, reduce greenhouse gas emissions, reversing climate change. These are all kind of concerns that we are faced with, and electric car is supposed to offer, or electric vehicle is supposed to offer some kind of a respite from these challenges. Less dependence on foreign oil, less adverse impact on the balance of payment of poor countries, less vulnerability to price shocks and supply. And you have seen that how a world economy was disrupted when the price of the petrol gone up so much, earlier. And now people have come to terms with that more expensive petrol, but at the same time, everybody is working hard really to come out with some alternate fuels. And India is taking a lead in this thing by having solar power, hydropower, atomic power. And of course, other thing is consumption. From the consumption point of view, the electric vehicle. And now if we ask some questions, some relevant questions that come to my mind, and I could ask you. Now, why do we only think about cars? Why are we obsessed with speeds, 200 km per hour, or accelerations of 100 kilometers in 3 seconds, and so on, isn't it? That's the concern kind of a thing many people are talking about. Why are we only big city centric? There are villages, there are small towns, where the distances to be covered are not so much, 200 kilometers or 500 kilometers and so on, where people need only for local commutation. Can't we provide anything? See, these questions will lead us to some kind of some relevant answers. And those relevant answers can be what will make some amount of sustainable product out of it. Why do we only think of batteries? Is there any alternatives to batteries? Why do EVs have to compete with IC engine vehicles? Why can't EVs have their own segment? Why it has to be a substitute for IC engine? Because IC engine is going to remain for quite some time. And meanwhile, what do? We just wait till the EVs become competitive with IC vehicles. Now, question is again, can we change our mindset? Isn't there any other way? Isn't there any scope in small towns and villages for EVs? Isn't there any scope other than passenger transport? Isn't there any scope for low-range vehicles? Isn't there any scope for low-speed vehicles? Isn't there any scope for niche segment for EVs? What do you say? So if we find answers to these questions, probably we can have some kind of vehicles which are more workable, which are more acceptable in India. Because our 50% of the population lives in the villages. Another 20% probably, 20 or more, lives in the small towns. So can there be a vehicle for that? Or we should think only of Bombay, Delhi, Calcutta, where the distances to be commuted by the daily working people is, say, 100 kilometers or so. Whereas in a small town, it could be just below 40 kilometers. So, next, what we say, what is however encouraging is that serious thought is being given to add value and make these vehicles viable. Everybody is thinking of how to make these vehicles viable. Potential benefits if leveraged and limitation of electric vehicle if turned into advantage by design. Special vehicles for special applications, special situations can become intrinsically viable. Making a viable car which will potentially compete with IC engine car for long distance, for going from here to Pune or here to Nasik or here to anywhere else. If we stop thinking about that, then we can think of making some electric vehicles viable. Design and orient the use of specialized electric vehicles to niche situations and markets. This could be one of the strategies. Okay, so let's go further. Now let's look at one of the places which is highly polluted. Which are one of the places in a city like Bombay? Highly polluted area is airports. One is the pollution from the aircraft. Another is pollution from all the vehicles that are running on the ground. And what are the vehicles running on the ground? You can see here is a whole range of vehicles that run on the ground. Air pollution at the airports make them ideal situation for electric vehicles. Now, if all these vehicles are turned into electric, then much of the pollution at the airports will be reduced. And there should be no hassle in having electric vehicles in these. Why? Why there is no problem? Because range is very small. That means you have to, some kilometers only during the daytime, some few kilometers of running, say 10, 20. Then you can always take the vehicle around the corner for a charging. Infrastructure, special infrastructure is not really required. Heavy vehicle, being a heavy vehicle, also not, because many times it has to tow loads. So all the disadvantages of electric vehicles can be converted into an advantage in a situation like airport. Do you agree with this? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. So we go to the next slide. Let's take a case. This was done by one of my students, Anupam, and it was a design of an aircraft towing tractor, which is heavy, it has short runs, it's slow moving, it's a gas guzzler. Doesn't it make a viable alternative, making it electric? Isn't it? So what happens? Can you go to the next? You know what is a towing tractor? Okay. So he made a model and he conceptualized that towing tractor with lead acid batteries, which are intrinsically heavy. Previously, what you used to do in the earlier version, in the IC version, because IC engine and the vehicle can be much lighter, they had to put a lot of ballast weight. That means concrete blocks were put into the body to increase the weight of it so that it can tow a heavy aircraft. Do you understand this? So now, if this vehicle is run by batteries, lead acid batteries are intrinsically heavy. So you don't need to put in extra ballast for this. Right? He also conceptualized a kind of a cassette-like situation where you can put these cassettes into this, which you can see the fourth one here. Replaceable battery cassettes, pre-charged. These are boxes in which lead acid batteries are put, so they can be put on the vehicle. 4 of such cassettes were there, which can be put on the vehicle, and when they are exhausted, they can be replaced by going to some place. These can be, since they are very heavy, these can be rolled out on a platform, or they can be put there with the help of a forklift truck. Okay. So if you can do this kind of a thing, and then probably, how about road rollers, farm tractors, mining equipment, and things like that, isn't it? And a lot of sense, electrical vehicle make their mining equipment, farm tractors, where the ranges are, where the loads are not, kind of a very, is not a negative thing. Road roller must be heavy, isn't it? So electric road roller makes more sense than an IC engine driven road roller. Similarly, farm tractors, electric farm tractors. In fact, there have been initiatives for some small Indian companies who have started making electric farm tractors. And mining equipment, I'm not sure if there are any people who have been making mining equipment, probably. So when we took up this program at IDC, IIT Bombay, and we thought of, what could be possibly, say, for example, for airports, what could be the kind of vehicles, some vehicles, for example, inside the airport, people are being trapped, they are using golf carts right now. A golf cart quite big, unless you have 10 people or 6 people, you're not using them properly. Many times there are just 2 people going around, and they're occupying a lot of space. Can there be an alternative in terms of the configuration of the vehicle by which you can just take 2 people or 3 people and drop them at their respective places? Okay, this is just a concept which is simply a platform. And interesting thing about it is that it has a differential steering technology. That means there is no steering wheel per se. Making a differential in the speeds of left and right wheel, it's going to turn, right? So we can see that this experiment we did. Next, we can go to next one. And these are the experiments that have been doing about how this differential will work, what should be the rear wheel, and what should be the what do you call suspension and things like that. How much do you need and things like that. And built-in wheel, motor built into the wheel was used in this case. And how it was, the experiments were done, how it will be steered and things like that. Okay, next. Similarly, the same thing could be as a towing. It can become a train-like thing. That means if you have more people, then you can add these modules to it. So it can be six people traveling together. Earlier was just 2 people. Okay, next. So we developed the concepts for the electric rickshaws like this, and prototypes also, and also how they could be used. And if they are in a village situation, farm situation, they don't need such a 40-kilometer range is good enough, right? So they can transport, say, about 100 kgs to 100 kgs, 400 kgs of load on the backside, or they can be used for the transport going to the school and things like that, or nearby places like auto rickshaw is being used right now. Next. Now let's look at the other possibility. Electric mobility at tourist spots. So here I'm showing you you must tell me what time is, how much time do we have? And we can stop at that time. So we've started with, how much time do we have, Vijay?
Sir, our session is at up to 1 p.m., sir.
Oh, 1 p.m. Okay, there's enough time. So let's look at electric mobility at tourist spots. Can we have electric mobility at tourist spots? So we took a case of Elephant Island. You know Bombay, people living in Bombay, they know Elephant Island very well, isn't it? Elephant Island is a small island off the coast of Bombay. And it's famous for the caves, Buddhist caves and Hindu caves, And a lot of tourist traffic is there particularly during the summer months. And the ferries are going from, which is the dock? Where do the ferries go to Elephant Islands? The boats which travel to Elephant Islands from near Taj Mahal Hotel to Elephant Islands. So this is the Google map. This is the Elephant Islands. As you can see, it is marked by a square. Okay. And this is Bombay, main island Bombay, on this side, on the left side. And from there, you can see from Taj Mahal Hotel, here somewhere in the south. And from there, the boats run to Elephant Island for tourists. Yeah. So island is of the eastern coast at 16 square kilometer area. Popular tourist destination consisting of both Hindu and Buddhist caves. Island is accessible by ferry leaving from Gateway of India. Total, there are villages also there. There are 3 villages on that island, and it has some amount of forest and Rajbandar, which is a trade hub in the capital. Next. So if you take a closer view of this island, it's like this, and it has a small road going around it, which could be converted into a road for an electric vehicle, or it could be a tracked road. It could be an autonomous vehicle. It could be, and since it's for tourists, it can be slow speed. People can enjoy the sceneries and the nature around it. And since it is mostly used in summer, and there's no power connection directly, people could keep on buying the diesel and getting it there or to light their homes and do other work. Now, there is a solar power plant kept on this island, which will supply the light and the electricity to the villagers as well as to the vehicles which will go in, and it will remain free of pollution. It will be excellent tourist destination. A slow-moving train or slow-moving some kind of vehicle going around it, automatically stopping at various points, which will be of interest to the tourists. Okay, so train of modules. There will be modules with centralized drive, or module can be independently driven also at intervals to keep the weight low. Variable length of train, number of module depending on the passenger load factor. It could be a line follower, independent drive passenger module from lightweight materials like GRP, aluminum, etc. Okay. So this was a plan, although nothing much has happened to this plan. But what I'm emphasizing is these are the places where without any hitch, whether without any additional inputs from great modern technologies is needed to do these kind of things. Next. This is a case study of a houseboat which I showed you earlier, for which they have got an award too. And this is made in lightweight plastic material like reinforced glass fiber. And what is holding us back to make it solar powered? Because most of the time it is in the open, its range is not much. In fact, we had to add some weight to it because it was so light, you know. So instead of ballast, we can put batteries, and this can run short distances. And it is a modular luxury houseboat for Kerala tourism. 2 bedrooms with attached bath, lounge, pantry. It's 27 meters long, 4.5 meter wide, 4 meter high, and materials. And it's a prototype. It's not a fancy imagination. It has been made. It is floating in the seas in the lakes of Kerala. Next. Also, we had a kind of a program of using fiberglass material, lightweight plastics, and we developed that, which is just 38 kg electric scooter. And IIT has a patent for this because it's a body which is monocoque. That means it's once, because the idea was to reduce the weight as much as possible and make it as simple as possible. This is one shot molding for the scooter, so you and add front fork and rear fork, and have here's a compartment. There's a below compartment for batteries, and which can either have lead acid batteries or lithium-ion batteries or any other kind of batteries that are being produced now. And this is one of the lightest vehicles, and because that's what we want in electric vehicles, isn't it? Single unified body design in FRP, with styling, ergonomics, and engineering. All the components are mounted on the load-bearing FRP body. No metal chassis, lightweight, vibration, and fatigue resistance. Okay, next. Similarly, another could be a load-carrying vehicle, which you can see here. It's a 3-wheeler, electric, front wheel powered. When you have a 3-wheeler with front wheel powered, then there's no need for a differential at the back, which makes the vehicle lot heavier. And it is possible now because these kind of technologies are available now with us. In-wheel motor is there available, which of course still is being imported from China. But the point is that if you use this kind of then you are able to reduce a lot of weight, both with the body construction and with the you remove a lot of mechanical accessories like differentials and all that with this kind of concept. So design can make a great difference when you are talking of weight reduction, or design can make a lot of difference when you are talking using weight as in a positive manner, like we have seen in aircraft towing tractor or in road roller maybe. And this you can say is only a 45 kg trike. Now it can do various kinds of things in the farm sector, like carry these kind of vegetables from farm to the nearest point on the road, or it can be used by the fish vendors, or it can be used by milk vendors. And wherever you need a small load to be carried, say about 100 kg load, this is a vehicle for that. Next. Now, many of you are students here and professors also there. So what are the opportunities for research and working in the universities or working in your schools? So these are the various possibilities in electric vehicles. One is the vehicle configuration and application. What should be the vehicle configuration and application? Like I've shown you many examples of application will determine the configuration. So if you are able to determine what is the application, you can have a vehicle configuration according to that. Then there is a scope in the controls and intelligence. Nowadays, more and more intelligence is put onto the vehicles. So there is a scope for making an electric vehicle which is more intelligent with better controls, ergonomics, microelectronics, embedded systems, artificial intelligence, and so on. There is a scope in human engineering, safety, compatible systems, and integration. There is a scope for batteries and power accumulators, charging systems. There's also a research scope in motors and drives. In fact, all these, if made in India, can make our nation more adaptable to the electric vehicles, because right now we are dependent a lot on the imported stuff, motors and drives all being imported. Then much of the electronics is also being imported. Although we consider ourselves the powerhouse of software and all that, but much of our talent is being used by the foreign companies than by Indian companies. Next. So now when we talk about configuration, so can we go back and say that, okay, let's have these kind of electric buses, like we had in the past, these electric buses, but for some reason they were stopped. And we must have a revival program for these things. And in fact, if you see some of the Eastern European countries where they are very common, electric buses in their cities are very common. Unfortunately, it is creating a great deal of visual pollution because of the cables that run all over the streets. But now, how to get rid of that? And you don't, since they were totally connected by electric, they had to be always connected to the cable overhead. Now, if you are able to put a small onboard battery power, so you can disconnect this, move around a little bit, and then get back onto the track, wherever this cable is available for connection. So such kind of a small differentiations and innovations make this vehicle, the electric bus, quite viable in in many smaller cities or even in bigger cities, for that matter. For example, there are these dedicated corridors for bus travel. Ahmedabad is one of the cities where there's a corridor for bus. And instead of putting a regular bus on that, why can't we put a bus with a power cable overhead? Because it goes in one lane only. So you have to lay just one cable on the top. Are you getting it? So the possibilities, these kind of possibilities are there. Okay. Next. Now this is we had a project from DHI for lightweighting of the buses, and in which we used what we call either the aluminum or GRP. So this is the concept, which is much lighter than this, and this is again without a chassis, without a metal chassis, as I have seen you the smaller vehicles. This also can be made without it, which is aesthetic concept, digital model based, and this is also patented by IIT Bombay. And proposed aesthetic design integrated with patented technology, which is for lightweighting of the buses. And since it's lightweight, it becomes an ideal candidate for making it an electric bus. Now, where it could be run, we just thought that, okay, let's see. Next, can you go to the next slide? So, for example, a tourist place like Aurangabad, where the Ajanta people go to Ajanta Ellora caves. If this bus is running from the station to those, this is actually the road in Aurangabad. And if you lay down the cables on top, as you can see, just one single cable on top, and run these buses in that lane, and wouldn't it be nice? So if you are using this, isn't it better than using an electric IC engine powered vehicle on this route for all the advantages that EV has? Next. Similarly, as I told you that we have been developing electric motor with the electrical engineering department of IIT Bombay, and although it is because of lack of funding and all that, this has not gone much ahead. But hopefully it will happen in due course. Next. Now the question is, are these segments worth considering for making an electric vehicle? So one has to think about it. Next. These kind of, can we have a replacement of this kind of by electric instead of an IC engine? what you see on the right top, or what you see on the right bottom, or what you see on the left, replace the blocks, because many of the places that the blocks are not being used. So can we have some kind of a much simpler device than this from the tractor, which can be used to plow the land? Next. So we've created some possibilities in this. We have some concepts, for example. Next, yeah. Possibilities for design intervention. We thought of electric power tiller, which could be made like this with a motor and a battery and this thing. This is just a conceptual drawing. And we could see there are things available abroad with solar powered, small, what do you call that? You can say small tractors in a way, or small tillers in that sense. They are there, but there's a good scope for them in India too. Next. So we did make one with such vehicle, which is a motor inside the wheel, a big bicycle type of wheel, with the batteries, the box for the batteries, the electronic controller system over here at the top. You can see the thin box at the top, and with all the speed controls and all that in the handles over here. Okay, and if you go to the website of ecoev.in, www.ecoev.in, you will be able to see the videos of this. Okay, next. So we also started developing for other rural equipment like battery operated brush cutters, which will these are small. The batteries are, in fact, this is just one tube kind of a handle. Batteries are inside the tube only, Next. So this is what we say that I talked to you about, that we can have mini road rollers for narrow lanes and footpaths, right? This could be a possible. Next. Then robotic grass cutting machines, or you can say in the orchard, what you call the vineyards, and you can have the weeders, which can be electrically driven weeders. Like this can be electrically driven weeders, which can go through these lanes, and take out the weeds. Okay, this is what we say. They conclude it with creative eco-design strategies, appropriate engineering concepts, combined with humanistic approach, help develop innovative products. Now, these products could be in the area of EVs or whatever you say, which also address the concerns of the users. That's very important, and make these products successful and sustainable. Yeah. With that, I would end this. And if there are, thank you very much. If there are any questions, maybe we have some time, so I can take it and see whether I can answer. Yeah, thank you, Vijay.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for nice presentation and the knowledge behind the using of the electric vehicles you provide to us. I request to the participants, if they have any questions in their mind, please ask to the sir. It is a good platform for them to interact with the Munshi sir. Anyone? Hello? Yes.
Hello, I have one question, sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
I have one question regarding whatever you have shown. You have shown one battery-operated brush cutter. Whether that battery-operated brush cutter is already there, or
there are
we
many.
need to develop this.
Hello.
It is there, or we need to develop this.
I mean, there are cars. There is a Suzuki car, there's a Tata car, there's a Mahindra car, isn't it? Okay. So there is an always, whenever you have some product in the market, there is always scope of improvement and making a new one. The point is that this is a possibility. Right now, most of the cutters are IC engine based cutters, right?
Yes.
And they are also from different companies, isn't it? They are not just one company.
Yes.
There is some amount of research required to converting IC engine brush cutters and giving it enough power into it by using electric motors with it. Now, electric
Yes.
motors doesn't mean only motor, but it also means controllers and how the configurations are there. What kind of configuration, and making it more user friendly, right? The advantages,
We
of
can.
course, advantages are therefore is less noisy. It can be cheaper, also made cheaper by design. Kind of, it need not be so
Okay.
expensive.
We need to minimize the cost, or we need to optimize the
Yeah,
cost.
always effort is to minimize and optimize the cost. Yes,
Cost
particularly
and always.
with respect to the performance, isn't it? For
Yes,
example,
with respect to performance.
yeah, it's not that you just keep on reducing the cost so that the performance is kind of compromised.
Will down. Okay, we need to have better
Yeah, it is up to
balance
the
between.
engineering ingenuity how you will be able to
Yes.
deliver. What the customer requires.
Okay, okay. We can minimize the weight of this cutter
You can
by
minimize, but
some means.
sometimes I say that it's not always minimized. It's a very great engineering principle to minimize. Sometimes it
Yes,
is
sir.
necessary to maximize. Like as I showed you that case study of a aircraft towing tractor. There the
Yes.
minimum weight is not an advantage. It's maximum weight is an advantage. More weight is advantageous, isn't it?
Sometimes
So
maximum weight.
absolutely. So one has to know, where your product is going to be used, for whom you are designing, and for what situation you are designing. So accordingly, you decide
Yes, sir.
whether it should be minimal. I showed you the scooter, which is minimal weight, isn't it? It suits it.
Yes.
But there are other say, for example, road roller, you should have maximizing the weight. There's some noise behind,
Yes, we need maximum weight. Yes.
isn't it? So you use the
Yes, yes.
technology in whatever way you have to use,
Okay, okay.
right?
Thank you, thank you. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, hello, sir. Hello.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Sir, my is a very simple question is that actually is not a question, just a curiosity to asking. You have worked with many uh, planning schemes of the India and the state government. Sir, actually, we are seeing that the many schemes planned by the central government of India, state governments, and the companies, but still the product is not usable, or what we can say that we cannot motivate to the end users. We're not able to motivate that end users to use that particular product. So why means people are resisting to use that
Resistance.
product, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what is this called? This is called neophobia. In India, we have a lot of this. The phobia of the new things. If you show something, you tell them that this is something new that you have developed. People will say, okay, let me see how it is. Then they will ask you for the cost. Then they will compare it with something else. So there's a total reluctance of using new technologies, but there is a strategy of introducing new technologies. Even it is this neophobia is throughout the world. It's not only, but in India, it's a little more than any other place. For example, in America, when they have to introduce some new product, why new products are more acceptable in America? Why all innovations happen there? Most of the innovations, right? Because the acceptance of new and innovative products is much more over there. But still, say for example, if the American car company has to introduce a new car, it will go to a particular area. For example, in America, they go to California to introduce a new car.
Yes, sir.
Because the people of California are much more forward-looking and they are more accepting to the new.
Yes, sir.
Can somebody say that where should we introduce new in India?
No, sir.
It's very difficult. People have not done much research. These are the probably areas of research for the humanities and social scientists to do. Then we say that, okay, now even if we don't know but who are the segments which have much more resistance than the others? Probably the people in the villages have more resistance to new ideas. I don't know. I'm just speculating. Maybe some of you who are from villages, can you say that you have more resistance to new ideas, or can you say you are more accepting to new ideas? I don't know.
No, sir. No, not possible.
For example, this single-wheeled plow I showed you.
Yes, sir.
Right? If you show it to a villager, just show it to him, then what will be his reaction? He has
Well,
not seen it before. He has not seen it before at all, right?
yes, sir.
So his reaction is suspicious, whether it's going to work or not, whether he should spend money on that or not. But then a kind of a company which is trying to do these innovations, they have to find a strategy. In fact, governments also should have a policy for incentivizing the innovation acceptability in the public. I don't know how they would do it. They don't ask me. So that way a company would do it. Okay, they will give it to some farmers.
Yes, sir.
Ask them to use it, get their feedback from using it. In fact, before developing, also they should get some farmers on board and put them into the development, invite them regularly while you are doing the development, you see. So that way their ideas also get into the product, and with which then when it is given to them to use, they are more accepting. And once there are few people in a village who are accepting using it, and they are using it to better their farming practices, there will be others who will come. It's a long process, but that's how the innovation has to be introduced.
Yes, sir. Yes,
You
sir.
must have seen innovations have taken years and years till
Yes,
they have
sir.
reached some kind of maturity. But the
It may be,
effort has to be made.
yes, sir. It may be a revolution when electric vehicles will be used by all the people. Sir,
Yeah.
again, one thing is that from presentation, can I means interpret like that ki before introducing or investing the lot of money in the cars and various costly cars, before that the companies or the government should go for the vehicles which you are showing, means where we can sustain that electric vehicle or promote to the means villages or the cities, so that after that they can understand the things and then
Right,
they use
right.
the car.
See,
So
for example, if there could be a policy intervention by the government saying, let all the vehicles in the airports be made electrical in the next 5 years. That's become mandatory for the airport authorities or the airlines or all that, right?
yes, sir.
They will tell them, okay, now first year you do only 5%. But in the second year, you should be able to do 20%. In the third year, you should be able to do the 70%. In fourth year, you should be able to do 90%. And fifth year, of course, you should do 100%. These are the kind of a policy instead of telling, okay, now every car in India would be electric, by so to say. It doesn't work that way. It has to be It has to be a graduated program of both incentivizing and regulation. Unless this is done, the electrical vehicle, for example, the airports will never think of using electric. Why should they? Nobody is telling them not to do it, not to do whatever the current practices are. They will go on their own, thinking that some, enlightened managing director will say, okay, since we must do some electrical vehicles on the airports. It will be on the personal, he will be a personal champion of these. And if he changes, if you get transferred to some other, next guy is not going to bother about it. So it has to be some kind of a systematic approach from the policy makers towards introduction of electric vehicles in the country. And naturally, it should start with somewhere which is feasible. You cannot have a test. You cannot tell them, okay, now ask Mahindra to make a Tesla type of a car. Can you?
Yes, sir.
You cannot do that, you see. And neither there's a need for that. How many people are going to use Tesla cars in India, although they are coming to India, right?
Yes, sir.
So what is the need? What is the need? Where is this? Where is the maximum consumption? So that has to be studied, and then gradual introduction of this. And gradual introduction also, which will be monitored. Not that you tell them after 5 years you should be totally 100% electric. Nobody is going to go there. After 5 years, they will give a lot of bahanas and tell them, no, this is not happened. Technology is not available. We can't do it. Then what will you do? The secretary from government of India is not going to come to tell them on how to do it. You see,
Yes,
how to do the detailing. But you give them a smaller target, say 5%. If you tell them within 1 year you should have 5% of the vehicles which are electric. So which they will also not mind, and they will try their best to see how 5% at least could be made into electric. They will go and ask other companies. They will go to Mahindra. They will go to Tata. They will tell me, okay, can we make a tractor which is electric to be used on the airports? And we have a requirement of 100. If the airport authority goes to Mahindra and asks them, we have a requirement of 100 tractors or 1,000 tractors and all. in many major airports. Electric, can you develop it for us? Right?
Yes, sir.
So it has to work like that. It has to work in synergy.
Yes, sir. Thank you,
and
sir.
with right kind of a policy approach and regulations.
Yes, sir. Any of participants who want to ask anything? I also.
Hey, good afternoon, sir. Myself is RM Tade.
Yes,
So I have to ask
Dr.
one question. Yes, sir. Regarding this, because just now whatever we have discussed in this lecture, that we have discussed the vehicles, okay, so which are having or light vehicles, we can say, so the capacity or load carrying capacity was quite less. So I just want to know if suppose we are going to increase the load carrying capacity, then in that case, what I feel that in that case we need to add the batteries, more batteries. Okay, and our main intention is our aim is to reduce the weight of the vehicle. That is our main intention. What we have seen, because we are most of the time we are using this plastic or this reinforced some sort of this chassis. Okay, so that is our aim to reduce.
Are you in this? Are you in this development? Are you doing any development in this?
I'm not doing the just this is just my observation, sir. Because what I feel, so I just wanted to ask you to know the things more about it because we are getting the information. I think because this is everywhere these electric vehicles are in a what you can say in a developing stage, and nobody wants to give more details in that. So what I feel that because our aim is to increase the load carrying capacity. What I feel, okay. So because most of the time we need a vehicle which is having a higher load or more load carrying capacity. So in that case. If suppose we want to increase the load carrying capacity, then in that case we need to use the more batteries. What I feel. Okay, this is my okay. Whatever I know, so based on that, I am telling you, sir, and I want to know about that. So, so if the batteries are there are more batteries, then again, in that case, the load of the vehicle will be increasing. So, what compromise we then make in that case? So that I want to know.
It's a vicious circle. You want to increase the load carrying capacity, you have to increase the batteries. You increase the batteries, you increase the load of the batteries, and therefore you have less capacity for carrying load, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
You get it? And if you do this way, we are getting into a vicious circle. We will never be able to get out of this. So one of the important things is where can we reduce the weight? You can show me your face. I like to see that. Yeah.
I was just traveling by on train. Just now I came to college. I was on the road, sir. So that's I was listening to you. Yeah.
Okay. So what I am saying is that if we want to have more load on a vehicle, first thing we have to determine what is the load we want to carry. Right.
Let us say bus, electric bus or public vehicles, like say.
No, we're not.
Public
We're talking. How do we know what is the load to be carried? It depends on where are we going to use it. I showed you many vehicles which are different load carrying capacities, isn't it? One is 100 kg load carrying, another one is 500 kg load carrying. And you see this aircraft tractor, it will have thousands of kgs, tons of load carrying capacity, isn't it? Tractors which are used, they have other. So we have to determine what is the load and which is then the best candidate for electric. Not why I don't say that everything should be electric. Right, we have to find out which is the best candidate for electric.
Okay. Yeah.
So there have been, I can tell you, there have been cases. There have been vehicles they have made in Switzerland, where they were used for mining, carrying minerals from top of the vehicle because on the mountains, from the mountains to the plains. Right. So it's a Herculean task, isn't it? And they were electric, and they were electric positive. How? Because when they brought the load down from the mountains, it was slow and they could regenerate the power because of the high load of bringing it down from the mountain top. Are you understanding?
Yes, I'm getting that.
So they generated power which was fed into the batteries or the grid or whatever. And when they went up, they were empty. So they consumed less power to go up. Yes. So in fact, they became power generators rather than power consumers. Do you understand?
Yes,
now, if there is, we adopt the same strategy for bringing materials from higher altitude Himalayas. From Ladakh, we have to bring some minerals from there because some say that it's a very rich in minerals. And if we have to bring it to the plains, it's all the way down, isn't it? And we can use huge electric vehicles with tons and tons of load carrying capacity. and still be power positive and still be power generators. You understand? So you have to see where is the fitness of a candidature of a vehicle where you think it can be made into an electric. I would say it will be rather useless for India to make a car like Tesla in India. Spend as much energy on making some other steps which are more useful, right, and more close to our environment and close to our way of working.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
You get it?
Yes,
So
sir.
you have to use a lot of
other aspects also.
you have to do a
By
lot of
considering the other aspect also, by
absolutely.
considering the other aspects also, we can design or make that particular type of or tailor-made design. We can do that, I think,
Right.
based
And
on
the
the requirement.
lightweighting is always a criteria. Lightweighting should be
Okay.
there,
Always.
So
Always.
that's why the lithium batteries or even other kind of polymer batteries are being developed. But I will tell you,
Yeah.
in some cases, it may be a better idea to use lead acid batteries where you need some weight. And we found out from our experiments when we made the trike, three-wheeler small vehicle,
Yes, sir.
we found the vehicle body became so light, the holding capacity of the wheels onto the ground was not as required. So we put lead acid batteries. We don't, and which are inexpensive, which are made in India. So it is better to use those rather than a lithium battery, which is more expensive, lighter weight.
Yeah.
In that case,
Yes, sir.
you understand? Same way I showed you the case study for this electric towing tractor. It is true for all the kinds of tractors, to have more weight, because they have to
Yeah.
tow the weight, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Isn't it? In tractors, in these IC engine tractors, you must have seen they put additional weights in the front to improve the
Yeah.
traction.
It's like a counterweight. I think it's like a counterweight.
Counterweights, right?
Yeah.
So instead of counterweights, you have batteries. You use
Yeah.
batteries.
We can utilize like counterweight.
You get my point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank
All
you
right.
very much. Yeah. Thank you very much for sharing
हमारा
your and the experience with
मीटिंग
us.
मध्ये आहे बस काय नाही मीटिंग झालं झालं तुमचं ते इन्कम टॅक्स तिकडे करून बघता
Friday, sir, please mute your mic.
Okay.
Yeah.
सॉरी
All right, Vijay. Thank you very much. It was
Yeah.
a pleasure talking to you guys. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
All right. Bye.
Okay. Okay. Bye, sir. So other participants, we meet at 2:15 p.m. for the next lecture. Mr. Sanjay Nivande, who is a Deputy Director of the ARAI Pune and the Chairman of SAE India Western Section. So we'll meet at 2:15 p.m. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Thank you, participants. Thank you, Munshi sir. Thank you. Please do the registration. I already put the link so many times. Again, so here is in chat box the link of the registration. Those who still did not done any registration, so please do that. Okay, till that. Hello.
Sir, can we leave now?
Yeah. All the participants can leave. You can meet at
Okay, thank you, sir.
2:15 p.m. 2:15 p.m. Please join us 2:15.
No attendance, sir?
Yeah, I will put the attendance link as please. Just wait. Okay, at 2:15 I will put the attendance. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you all of you.
डिपार्टमेंट आता ती कन्फ्युजन आहे का ती तुझी आता पहिला आता काय होतं झालं मग आपलं तर कॅन्सल केली स्टाफ आहे दिग्गज स्टाफ आहे कोण आहे मग पर्यंत माझं मध्ये मध्ये करू नको